It's all good. All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us again on Coffee with Impetus, where we just drink coffee and talk shit about plumbing and business. So today we got Nick Galati over here, who is also called Plumbing Solvers on Instagram. So for those of you who don't know him, Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do?
All right. Well, my name, like you said, is Nick Galati, and I am the owner of the Plumbing Solvers here in Georgetown, Ontario. For those of you who don't know where it is, so if you know where Toronto is, it's pretty much 35 minutes northwest of the city.
Oh, have you been there your whole life?
Not in Georgetown. I actually grew up in Toronto and kind of wanted to get away from the city life because just hectic down there. I don't know exactly where you are in the western side of Canada, but uh, you know how it is when you can't get 5 kilometers in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass to work and travel, and it's just a little bit of a headache. But I always wanted to move out of the city. It was always my goal. So I did end up buying outside of the city and started up my company here, and it's been the best decision I've ever made.
That's sweet. That's a good idea. Sometimes moving might be the best plan of action. How long? Actually, what type of work do you do right now? Is it just all plumbing, or do you do any heating, or what's it like?
Yeah, it's all plumbing and drains. We work mostly residential, but we do have a lot of uh, businesses in town, like the fast food places and whatnot, and offices that do call for our services sometimes. So we do mostly residential, but we also deal with commercial as well.
How long have you been plumbing then?
I've been plumbing since '09. I actually took a half semester off after high school, and I didn't know what I wanted to do coming out of high school, which a lot of people don't know. And yeah, I just picked up a trade, and it's been since '09. Yeah, it's been great.
They never really tell you where you should be in high school. It's always like, hey, you should do your resume and then get ready to get a job, but they don't really
Yeah,
go in depth. Like I went to university and I didn't even know what course I even took. I honestly
yeah.
didn't. That's why I
No,
dropped
I
out
hear
and
you.
somehow became a plumber. Uh,
Yeah,
they definitely
I
need to
hear you.
climb that.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I was actually going to take a business course at Humber College, which is a college out here in Ontario, and just to try to figure things out. And that's, I guess, what a lot of people do. They'll take a business course, which kind of it varies in your opportunities, right? So I didn't do that, and I'm actually happy I didn't do that because, number one, would have wasted money that I would have put towards. Well, I guess depending, having a business now, it might have been useful, but just happy I ended up taking that other semester to start an apprenticeship. So
Yeah,
that's the greatest part of it.
that's definitely good. I mean, at least you're doing business now, right? You don't
Yeah,
need to take
no,
business to know
exactly,
business. Sometimes I think
exactly.
people take so much of those business courses, but I think the best course of action is actually just being it yourself, because if you don't make those mistakes, you're not going to know where you're going to end
It's
up.
true. It's very true. It's very true.
How did you get into plumbing? Was it your parents, or was it just you just hopped onto it?
Yeah, I honestly, like I said, it was just one of those things, right? Because I didn't know what to do. I did a lot of research on things, and again, business was one of those things. Sociology was another thing I was interested in, and then at the end of the day, it was like, okay, well, I went throughout high school, graduated from high school. I hated being in class. That was the number one thing. I hated being in class. I hated being on a schedule where I'd rather do other things. But again, funny thing, right? You end up doing something where you're following a schedule. But yeah, no, for plumbing, I had a family friend that he worked for a company, a construction company. They had a plumbing division, but before that, I actually touched the waters with electrical and didn't like it. No offense to any electrical guys. But my father-in-law he was also a HVAC tech, a licensed HVAC tech, and he kind of said, you're interested in that, and I kind of said, you know what, I've been reading up on plumbing, and I feel like it's something that I could you know potentially enjoy doing. Um, and yeah, I got hooked up with a company through my father-in-law, and they actually took me on as an apprentice. And again, I don't know, like when you got into plumbing, if it was easy for you to get an apprenticeship, but I felt like when we were, when I was coming out of high school in '09, um, companies were very like iffy about even getting apprentices at all. They at the time when I was coming up, they'd rather just have a laborer,
Yeah.
just help out, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of
They
companies
call it
didn't
the
deal
bitch
with
work.
exactly. So, but luckily, like I said, this was a company that was willing to take me on as an apprentice and get me registered, which is, if I give anybody any advice, that would be the number one thing. If you're coming up in the trade and you have a company that's like, oh yeah, well, 6 months, 8 months, a year. No, you got to find a company that's going to get you in. After your probation, you should be getting registered.
That's
Like, don't waste
important.
your hours. Don't waste
You
your hours. You know what I
get
mean?
get
Because
indentured. You have to get indentured.
exactly,
There's so many
exactly,
companies that fuck around with your hours, and you're
exactly.
gonna go through probation. They're like, oh, we don't like you, or you have to work a bit longer. We're not gonna sign your hours. If you ever stand in a company like that, you should get the hell out.
Yeah, no, and I 100% agree with that. And it's you hear too many times. Like I deal with a lot of people, and I've worked with other people before I owned my business. And yeah, like they were working at the places we were working at, and it was like, yeah, well, it's been 6 months and I haven't really been signed up. I'm like, you got to go talk to them because they're not going to hand you anything unless you ask. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. You got to take that initiative. Like, if it is a problem, you got to bring it up and be like, listen, hey, like I have a goal. I want to get my license eventually.
Heck
I need
yeah.
to get that first step with getting a registration and then, progressing to go do your schooling, right? So
when
definitely
you say you
recommend getting it done.
graduated 09, that actually
Yep.
means you're 29 this year?
That's exactly right. Yeah, in February
Nice.
I just turned 29.
Nice.
Good math.
No, because I know that because when you say high school 09, because I graduated in 2010, so that means
Okay.
I just plus one
there
on
you
my
go.
end. So
There you go.
good to
Yeah.
know.
So,
Young
so,
entrepreneurs.
so you're a 92. I'm a 91.
I didn't know you were that far off. I mean, the beard puts a +5 on you.
You know what it is? It's actually funny because I've always had facial hair. Like my background's Italian, so kind of we get a lot more facial hair than maybe other like backgrounds would. But yeah, no, I've always been told I looked older. I've had probably a beard since grade 9. You know what I mean? I was able to grow one at least, right? So maybe not to this extent, but I was able to grow one. Where whatever it was, presentable, I guess. But
That's good on you, man. Because for me, I still look like I'm 18 sometimes. I go to those shows. That's the thing that really plays against me. If it wasn't for Instagram, I go to a lot of those trade shows. The next thing you see is the guy he's in the corner. He's just like, who the hell's this kid?
Who let this kid in here?
This guy's just are you apprentice or did you just graduate from school? I'm just like, holy crap.
It's so true. It's so true. But you know what it is? It is what it is, right? Like some of us are blessed with nice beards.
Yeah.
Like, we know some people on Instagram that have some like crazy beards, which, hopefully one day I could get one of those, but it takes patience,
Baker.
that's for sure.
I'm gonna get Baker
we got Baker, we got Allen, Carlson, we got
Carlson's
tons of guys, man. Tons of guys and some legend Kruger Construction over there.
Oh yeah, that one's
crazy beard.
Definitely on the Boldcast yesterday. That was a good cast.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was actually. You know what? I don't want to get into Boldcast and stuff, but Chris is awesome and
I love it. Like
if I
were to promote anything right here, I would say every Sunday go on that Boldcast. Sunday
100%,
Boldcast. Chris is an amazing guy. He has a great lineup. Just like us. It's funny. It's just that at the same time we have our thoughts together all the time. So. For some reason, we have the same people coming to the show, but there's a different flavor on each one where we talk more business and different things about a person's personal side, whereas he goes in depth and talking about just a different aspect, like which I really like, because whatever I talk to you about today, it's different of what you talk to him there.
Of course, and like you said, right, especially for somebody who's a young apprentice, like shows like this and the Boldcast, like you're getting guys that are like they've been in it for 10, 20, 30 years and. There's nothing more than getting advice from people who have been in the game, right? Like, you could get some advice from somebody who's, who maybe been in the trade for 5 years, which again, not to say, it's anything bad, but like, you definitely want to go to the guy that's been in it for, 10, 20 plus years, right?
And,
so,
we do it not to compete against each other. We both do it for the community. Like, we love the community. We want to give back. We want to share the people that are, doing the same thing with us day to day so that, we can share everybody's experiences all together to kind of make a collective group, just make the community stronger in general.
Yeah. We're all doing the common thing, right? Like we're all, not to say plumbing's any better than anything else, but trades in general, it's one of those things where we need kids to, come up in in trades because, A lot of them are getting into the video game scene, or like, just the social media
Yeah.
scene in general, and trying to make a living off that. But it's not going to be for everybody, right? Like,
Yeah.
there can only be so many people that get Instagram famous or TikTok famous and stuff like that, right? So you gotta, if you're good at your hands, honestly, I recommend it to anybody. If you're good at your hands, you got a good work ethic, get into a trade, pick up the tool, do some research, try to go with a company, like, go with a company and say, hey, like, why don't you, would you mind taking me around for a week or a couple days, or here's my schedule, like, do you have any jobs that you might need me on these days? Get involved, because honestly, you take initiative, and a company like myself, which is a small business, and we love that initiative, right? Like,
and here's the thing for apprentices. Like, for apprentices, why I say IG is always so important is because you have to understand that for us, that's the conversion rate of experience nowadays. If I were to hire, actually, it's not because I want you to be modern, but I want to have a profile which I can look at as a resume of your work. Because anybody who's, I'm not saying anybody, but let's just say 90% of the people who are proud of their work and they want to show what they want to do, it's nice to show that on Instagram, and it's nice to at least have a profile where if I'm going to be interviewing him, he's going to be like, well, here's a video of me putting in a finishing trim. Then I literally know that this kid or whoever this person is knows what the hell he's doing, because he's literally in act, and he's just did a time lapse. Took him 30 minutes, but the time lapse was 10 seconds to show me that he can do what he can do.
Of course. It's huge. And, there are some people that do, like, kind of, they'll message me in the DMs and be like, hey, like, how did you get started, and blah, 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 blah. And I said, honestly, I wish I had something like Instagram where I could make it's a portfolio. It's free, number one. Instagram's free. And it's your portfolio, right? So it's like, you show, like, a bunch of things that you can do, get somebody to record just making a drain, get soldering a joint, just little things, right? Like, nobody expects you to jump in a trade and know anything. You know what I mean? And for those who do, obviously you're going to be disappointed right away, right? Like,
don't worry about the trolls. People are always going to say you're not doing it right, but you have to show something for other people who definitely can see that you're trying.
It's so true. And it's just like, again, just do what you can, right? Make your portfolio. Take the time to make a video. Even if you don't make a video, take the multiple pictures, put it on a slide, and there you go. That's a perfect example of what you can do to show a business, hey, you know what? You might be getting people that are green, but hey, I have somebody who kind of taught me the ropes, and I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? So it makes a total difference.
So I'm gonna run it back to the questions. We went on a great tangent. I loved it, but I'm gonna go back to the questions that I want to ask. Was how did you start your business in the end? Like, how many years did you do your apprenticeship before you decided, hey, I'm gonna take that leap to move to where you were now to just start your business?
Okay, so this is another thing where I could relate back to apprentices. I didn't do the conventional way. Like, I was one of those guys who procrastinated throughout, getting my hours done, getting my schooling done, right? Where it could take you like 4 to 5 years now to get your license. It actually took me about 7, because I was just, in for it for the work and the paycheck, right? I wasn't worried about going to school. I'm like, I got a comfortable job here, is what it is, right? But if I could, again, going back to that advice, get your hours done, get your schooling done as fast as you can, because the faster you do it, the faster you progress, the faster you get more money, right? So, but sorry to veer off again, but so I worked. So my apprenticeship took me 7 years. I answered that one, right? So to get fully licensed, which again I regret, because I could have, again, advanced myself. But I worked for, getting back to my history, I worked for 4 companies in the 10 years before I started my company, I worked for 4 companies. One thing you could take away from any company you work for, apprentices again, you're going to see good, you're going to see bad.
Yeah.
Take the good from every company. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, I've had great bosses. So relating to myself now, and to yourself, we probably both had horrible bosses we worked for that really didn't give I don't want to swear, but didn't give a.
You're free to do whatever you want here.
Didn't give a shit. Okay, we'll say
we got no sponsors here, and we're not sure if we will. So I'm just gonna keep it raw.
Okay, we'll do it around that. All right. So I've had bosses that appreciate the value that you bring, and I've had bosses that are like, all right, so you did this job, when are you going to do that other job? Or how long is it going to take you to go here? Or why are you so behind? And, ones that micromanage, right? Like, and then again, I've had great bosses, which again, do value what you bring to the table, and, gets into the situation where I am now, where when I did put in my 2 weeks, my last company, it was one of those things where I did have a great relationship with that boss. Um, it was kind of one of those, what can I do for you to stay?
Yeah.
Kind of things, right? Kind of conversations. But at the end of the day, I knew I wanted to do my own thing one day, right? Well, especially right after I got my license, it's like, okay, little by little, I'm going to research, how can I get my license, and what do I got to do? How do you get registered to do that? And yeah, I got everything figured out. Again, I don't know if you saw or anything, but yesterday I made my 1 year actually of being in business, open officially. So that was a big,
Well, that's awesome.
accomplishment for
Yeah,
me.
I saw
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Congrats.
It's a big accomplishment for me because, like, I'm sure when you started, I don't know. Again, I don't know if you had the same thought, but it was like, so my wife works for the school board. She was basically on for school for 2 weeks until it was like, okay, you're the only source of income, kind of thing, right? So I mapped out, okay, can I make it work throughout the summer, or should I wait to, go on my own in September or whatnot? But we both decided, take the plunge, get into it, and my goal was to get past the year, which today officially is past the year. And yeah, no, it's been, I would never look back. Honestly, if I could keep doing what I'm doing now, build my brand in Georgetown, like, and that's another thing. I'm in a small community, so like everybody, it's one of those communities where compared to a big city where there's tons of competition, I'm in a small town which there's not as much competition, but I'm putting myself out there, like, doing local giveaways, sponsoring local teams, getting myself out there to be that number one plumber that everybody calls to their home in Georgetown, right? So again, if I could do this for the rest of my life, have my own company and grow it to where, I'm happy of, the course it's taking, I wouldn't work for another company if it's in my power not to.
That's awesome. DaCosta says congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate it.
DaCosta. Actually, I'm not sure how far DaCosta is. Maybe he's in second or third year too. So DaCosta and I have good history of each other.
Yeah,
he's definitely a
great guy. I see you guys rolling together sometimes. You guys are awesome. You guys are a good team. Like, that's a great thing too, right? Like, you guys are two different companies, but you guys have that relationship where, he'll help you if you need something, and you'll help him if he needs something. That's awesome to have. Like, there's a company in not too far from me. It's in Mississauga, which is like 15 minutes away from me, where he when I started out, he had some tools that I didn't have yet. Right? Yeah. He had a big flusher. He had the big rigid snakes and stuff, and he's like, yeah, just let me know if you need a hand. I give him something to help me out, right? But like, you need that, especially when you're starting off. Like, I don't know if, I guess you've been in business longer than DaCosta or whatnot. But like,
DaCosta said just 1.5. For me, I just hit my 4th year this year.
See, that's awesome, right? And congratulations to you as well, and DaCosta, for being, open that long, because it's not easy. And like, when you get somebody like yourself, you help him out. We're little guys at the end of the day, and again, we might not have the equipment. I don't know when you started if you had somebody helping you out or not, but it's never easy getting off the ground. And like, obviously everybody knows that starting a company, but I guess some people have the misconception that I gotta get my company going, I'm gonna have all this clientele, and I'm gonna make all this money, and I'm never gonna have any worries. It's the furthest from the truth. But it's definitely good to have that support from other people, for sure.
Yeah, definitely from the same community, people who can see the same thing, the same view that you do, and would definitely be behind your back, even though you're competitors, essentially. But for us, it's just there's too much work to take, anyways. Like, if you're good, you're gonna take the amount of work that you can take, anyways. There's no way that I can take, I don't know, tens and thousands of buildings or tens and thousands of houses with a small company. Not even a big company can do that. That's why there's us. Anyway.
Exactly. That's the number one thing. It's like every plumbing company, every trade company has got to know, like, yeah, you're not going to be able, sorry for the background noise, you're not going to be able to take on every customer. Like, and you're not going to make every customer happy. It's just, there's enough work out there for all of us. Like, it's just one of those things where, if you're worried about somebody taking work from you, you must not be busy enough to, not let that be an issue,
Yeah.
right? Kind of thing. So
You have a bad
it is
business,
what it is.
period. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
If you're
it's way
worried,
too much for us.
if you're worried, you just don't know how to run a business. That's all I can say. Community is definitely
Yeah,
always going to be stronger.
I agree with that for sure.
So, how did you get the name the Plumbing Solvers?
Uh, it's honestly, it was one of those things like throw something at the wall and see what happens kind of thing, right? I had, so when I was registering my business, they're like, what do you want to call it? And honestly, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was thinking, okay, the easiest thing is to do your name, right? Like do your name and, represent your name and, back a company behind your name kind of thing. But I just wanted to be a little bit different. I wanted to be something that kind of rolled off the tongue kind of thing. Also something that showed exactly what it was. I couldn't even tell you what the other two company names were, but definitely wasn't as cool as the Plumbing Solvers. But yeah, no, I just I don't know how, honestly, I don't know how I came about it, but I am happy that I did pick that name because, like, again, it works out. Like, you've seen my logo before. I'm looking at my truck right now, so I'm trying to figure out how I came up with it. But yeah, I like how my logo comes with it. I like how, the name of it kind of sticks out on my truck kind of thing. And
Essentially, it's
again,
probably like a simple
works.
name where it's just when people see it, they know you're
Exactly.
going to be the one solving the issue.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? At the end of the day, it was probably because, like, yeah, when we do go to customers' house, we are solving issues, right?
Yeah.
And why not be plumbing solvers instead of problem solvers, right? Like same
You
kind
know,
of thing.
that is the thing
So,
sometimes, like when they talk about brands and what you name something, you have to carefully name it or whatever, but that's not the real reason behind it, to be honest. From what I've seen and
no,
what I've been hearing and what I've gone through, it's just that a name doesn't really matter is what you've make of your name. Like I could
of
literally call
course.
myself, I don't know, TC Plumbing, right?
Mm.
But if I could make something out of it, it would have been just the same as Impetus.
Or T Money Plumbing or something like that,
T
right?
Money Plumbing, yeah. That would have been a good one. But it
It
would
would have
scare a
been.
lot of people away already.
It would. That's for sure. Oh, that's what like your Instagram meme that you did the other day. Yeah, how much? Oh yeah, you'd be getting that all the time.
All the time, all the time. It's
It,
just people don't understand that side, and I don't want to stay behind a screen and not say anything because the more we can share it, the more we can give it to the end consumer, the more important and the more relevant it becomes, right? I'm not saying that to say, hey, the consumer's an idiot, but there has to be an understanding, and why don't we make that understanding through humor?
of course, and it's better. People, if somebody's gonna get offended, they're gonna get offended regardless, right? So,
Yeah.
you take the high road kind of thing, and leave the ball in their court, right?
It's just
So,
the way that business has to be done sometimes, like, and
yeah,
for us, and especially our generation, the best way to convey it is through social media. If we don't convey it through that, then where else are they going to see it? They're not going to see it on Yellow Pages nowadays. For whoever's still paying for Yellow Pages, I'm not bad
yeah.
mouthing them, but it's pretty crappy. You're not
I
paying for
can't, I
crap.
can't, I can't tell you the last time I even had a Yellow Pages in my house. So I don't know.
It's like
I
a
didn't even,
book, and then
honestly,
they
before
start
you
trying to
said that,
sell you these programs, and they're like, oh, $500 per month. Now we do SEO and all
come
that
on.
too, but like, come on.
Oh man, if it's $500 a month, you can put your money into way better things than Yellow Pages. But again, yeah, like to each their own. But
Yeah, to
I
each
didn't
their
even
own,
know
whatever
Yellow Pages was
works.
still. I didn't even think Yellow Pages was a thing until you just mentioned it.
They've
So
they've they've changed. I have a few friends in there before, and I kind of knew the ins and outs of it. But
yeah,
times have changed. That's why it's not as relevant anymore.
yeah.
So when you started your business for a year now, how many guys do you have that are working with you?
So I'm the only one that deals with service calls. So I deal with the one-on-ones with the customers. I like to put the face to the name,
Yep.
right? So when people call the plumbing solvers, they call the plumbing solver the head one.
For now.
So
For now.
yeah, for now, until I want to keep it small until whatever. But I do have a crew for excavations. We definitely need a crew for excavations because especially if myself dealing with all the service calls, you break your body doing excavations, which I did a lot of when I was apprentice. Right, we've all done it. Right, that's how you learn how to do drains. But yeah, I have a crew for that. But yeah, as far as right now, it's just me doing service calls.
That's good. I've avoided a lot of
Yeah.
companies that made me dig. I did not like digging. I was too small for that kind of thing, and I
That's why
had
you were perfect. That's why
I
you
know
were perfect.
I had to inflame back from there, and I just knew, hey man, this digging shit is not my jam.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
definitely,
At least,
definitely, I knew service was there, but I had to go through those experiences to just learn it.
yeah.
That's part of
No,
it too.
it's true. And honestly, I could like the first company I ever worked for was basically it was 2.5 years of digging,
Yeah,
digging, running water service lines. Um, that was pretty much most of what I saw. But again, I was bitching every day, like
yeah,
we all would, right? Going home broken. You're going on a Friday. You know, your body's feeling great, and you get pushed right into that trench, and your body's broken for the weekend, and you can't really enjoy it. But honestly, I'm glad that those four companies I worked for. The one I learned how to do water mains and drains,
yeah.
and then my next one was when I got into a truck actually, and they said sink or swim, and that's when my customer service skills came out. And then from that company, I worked with a union company for about 8 months, and again, nothing against union companies or employees, but I wasn't cut out for it, right? Like it's a lot of hard work. I respect the hell out of those guys, that do that construction every day. Hugo does a lot of that,
Yeah.
heavy lifting, and like again, he could handle it. His work is like art,
Yeah.
and yeah, it just wasn't for me. So I learned a little bit of construction in the 8 months I worked for a union company, and then found it wasn't for me, and then I ended up with that last company that I was with until I started my company. But like again, apprentices again, it keeps coming back to apprentices. Like learn, if you're stuck on one thing,
Yeah.
learn it.
There's a huge
Really pay
misconception
attention to
about
it.
it with union and with what we do. Um, I don't think any other time we say we're better or less, or they're less or any better.
No,
It's just that people need to understand that everybody's different. For some people, new construction might be the way, and I'm not gonna say new construction sucks, but it sucks for me
no,
to do the work. But if you're
yeah,
comfortable with it and you like doing it, then that's what it is. But you can't shit on somebody for doing their job, because literally shitting on union or shitting on people who are non-union is just saying, hey, electricians are shit. They're not.
yeah,
It's still needed.
yeah,
They're essentials as well. So there needs to be
of
that
course,
mutual respect all the time, which we always have to talk about, because
yeah.
people get on their high horses thinking that unions are the shit, or like non-unions are the shit. But it's just to crack a joke at each other. But you can't take it
Yeah,
seriously.
it's trolls. Like you said before, it's just trolls, you know. And again, we got to be able to joke with each other because at the end of the day, you can't take life too serious. People that do, I don't know how you enjoy life, but it is what it is. Some
It's
some people
true.
are made for service, some people are made for construction, and it is what it is. We still make the world healthy with sanitary, drainage and proper. We do all the things properly to give people drinking water and proper running drains. That's the number. Honestly, this pandemic, I was busier now. Well, obviously, I'm busier while this pandemic. Well, I don't know if you even want to call it that anymore with how everybody's going out these days, but um, I'm busier now than before the pandemic. I don't know if you're in the same situation, but it's literally been like once they shut down the schools, like at the March break time, I probably had like maybe 2 3 days without any phone calls. But since then, it's been like steady, like not
Wow,
being able to handle the workload steady kind of thing.
that's crazy.
Yeah, which is a good thing. It's
It
a
is.
good
It
thing.
is definitely a good thing to be busy, but stay safe as well. For us, like
Of
we've
course.
got calls, and we've dropped on calls as well.
Yeah.
But we're a lot more weary of taking calls and just making sure that people are comfortable to go out and do the calls at the same time. If the tech isn't comfortable, it's okay. We don't think that they don't want to work, and obviously there's the option of actually taking CERB for us, or the government pays for it, and that's fine. It's respectable. People all have their limits, and to be a good employer and a good boss, as some people would say, is to understand where people are coming from.
Yeah.
So
For
you
sure.
say you're the only plumbing solver for the service side. Then you have another division or any other people that do a different side of it when you're working, or how does that
Well,
work?
well, like I said, I'm the only one doing the service. So like again, I got a crew for when I do get excavations for water lines and drains. But I'm still doing the snaking if I
Wow.
have to do snaking. I still do the camera inspections if there's any that need to be done. So like I said, when it comes to any like interaction with any customers, I'm the one you're seeing, right?
That's
So
the
I
grind.
think, and it is, but I think also the people that I guess, are following me on Instagram. Like, and honestly, I'll tell you right now, that's the only reason why I have like a good amount of people on my following, which it's under 4,000, which isn't anything spectacular, but the community here, I can't tell you. Like, it's just, I reached out to one of the local Instagram pages, and I ran like a giveaway. Actually, I ran my 3K giveaway. I also put on their end, and I got like a huge influx of followers in town. And I don't know about you, but every customer I go to, I always ask, where did you get me from? You get it from Google, Facebook, Instagram, word of mouth. And like at that time, like it was like 8 out of every 10 customers I was getting, 80% of customers were like, oh yeah, I should have followed you on that giveaway. And like, yeah, again, I probably had like 1,200 locals follow me from that giveaway, which is
That's
awesome.
crazy. That's
Yeah,
definitely crazy. It
yeah,
hasn't worked for me yet,
yeah.
but maybe I'll boost it up and I'll see. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
try it out, man. Honestly, again, I'm not sure exactly where you are, but like, again, this community has only got so it's Halton Hills, which is like the Broad of Georgetown. So there's I think the sign coming in says 64,000 population. So it's like they like to really keep locals busy and like to support locals. So that's a huge advantage for me for sure.
Definitely is. Definitely is. So, other than plumbing, what are some things that you like to do?
So my main hobby is hockey. Being Canadian, growing up playing competitive hockey, it was always my thing. And I still to this day play beer league hockey, which I'll never. If as long as I can play beer league, I'll play beer league. But watching hockey and go Leafs go. It's definitely my go-to thing, right? Like any chance somebody calls me, hey, we need a ringer for well, not as much now with having a company, but like, we need a ringer to come help us out play tonight. Like I'm the first one that people call because I'll go out anywhere,
The ringer.
Right? Yeah.
I love those. I love those calls.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, hockey, and I collect like a bunch of shit.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, Nick is a huge gaming fan for all the older styles. He has like Nintendo, he has the Genesis, all that stuff.
You know what? I don't think I have anything in here to show. I'm just trying to catch my eye because I just literally put shelves in my garage because I kind of outgrew it. And
you probably have stuff in there that's still worth a fortune. Like how much did you
you know what? Sorry, go ahead.
How much were you able to sell in value for you to start that business for all the stuff that you were collecting?
So I did it in parts. Like, so I would go to these game shows. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of them, but it's basically like game swaps, right? Like we do our sticker swaps. It's like game swaps. Like you either trade games or you buy a game or you sell a game with someone, and like you try to build your collection to get the games you want. Number one, maybe get the more rare ones, stuff like that, right? But it's one of those things where it's like at the time when I was doing it, like the values of these things, like again, it was in high school when I got my first part-time job, and basically these games are going for like $1 to $5 to $10 at most. And then fast forward to 2.5, 3 years ago, they just jumped up to like ridiculous amounts, like $100, $200. Like if you had the game and the little, I don't know if you guys, for the older people, the booklets that came with the games, and if you have it all complete, it's like $100 to $200, and for the rare stuff up to $500, right? So it was a great boost for me to get started. But in total, I probably put in, and again, 2,000 games, I probably put in about like $2,500 of my part-time job savings, and I probably sold all in like, I'm probably gonna undershoot it, but about 15 grand. I probably sold everything for.
That's a camera right there.
That's a camera, right? And the camera you usually see on my feed and stuff. So, I had to buy that. I had to buy a chipping gun. I had to buy, a K50. I'm looking around the garage, and it's like all the shit that I didn't have before that I have. I'm so happy I do because I'm ready for everything now, right? So,
yeah,
it was a big help because I didn't really want to go to a bank for, $15,000 loan or whatever it would have been to buy all this stuff, right? But, I'm happy. It was kind of a good investment. Usually things don't turn around like that, right? Like you buy a car, you roll it off the lot, there's your
It's gone.
depreciation right there, right?
You
This
need
is
it.
something
You
that
need an Enzo
you know
Ferrari
that
for that
helps.
one.
Exactly, right? So it's one of those things, right? It definitely helped. You know what? I will post it one day. The one that I sent you, the old collection, but even the stuff that I have now is pretty cool. Like I have like the original Mario's, 1 to 3 for the Nintendo. I have Super Mario World for Super Nintendo. The old wrestling games, NBA Jam. I'm probably like bringing up a lot of nostalgia for some of the viewers here, but
Vintage.
it's Sega Genesis, um, Sega Dreamcast. I had all those things. Like I said, I kept like the good stuff from every console, but it was definitely one of my things that was my main hobby that I did when I was growing up in high school. Yeah.
That's sweet. So what are some things that you hate doing when you're working?
Honestly, there's not much that I hate. Like um, I I welcome hard work. You know what I mean? Like I hate crawl spaces. I'll say that. I hate working in crawl spaces, and me being a shorter guy, and I was actually funny enough, I was talking to Chris about this about a month ago. He's a shorter guy as well, and we feel that we were hired mostly for crawl spaces, which is
Practically.
you know which it is what it is, or attics, small attics and stuff. Like I would say probably that, but the thing that bothers me the most is customers that don't want to be educated on their own home.
Yeah.
Like that's the number one thing. Like you're already paying for me to come in. You know what I mean? You're paying for the service. I'm trying to educate you on your main water valve in your house, your hot water tank, and
But then they're
you have
trying to educate you through HGTV.
yeah. It's like come on, man. Like I'm here to I'm one of those plumbers, right? Like I'll take my time with every customer. Like I'm not trying to go in there, hit them up for $300 and out in 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Here's your main water shut off valve, and you'd be surprised. Honestly, I'd say 50-50 if I had to put a number on it. 50-50 of people that know that they even have a shut off valve, that it exists in their home, and 50% that don't, which is insane. Because if anything happens, and Canada, we got that cold, icy weather, right? A lot of pipers.
Yeah.
And I actually went to one this past winter where literally it was like the whole second floor, because it was like onto an outside wall. The whole second floor was just like all the ceiling collapsed. All the
Ooh,
ceiling collapsed. I
that's
get
tight.
there. I'm like, why is water still running? And they're like, well, we called the city. I'm like, no, you got a shut off valve. I ran downstairs, turned it off. So like, we were literally calling around before we called you, and it was running for like 2 hours.
Wow.
So which is crazy. So again,
Hey,
educating
that's
your
a customer for
customers.
life.
That it is, and I've actually done new. Obviously, you could imagine what kind of an insurance claim that was, and yeah, I actually redid their whole bathroom lines, and that was actually a great job because again, it was mid through my first year of owning the business, and yeah, obviously big jobs like that don't hurt. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So
yeah, the most hated thing is definitely uneducating customers. Like they the ones that have no care for it, whatever.
yeah, it's okay. Those ones can be left for somebody else.
Exactly.
So I go through the Instagrams a lot, and I went through your page, and there's a thing that I wanted to ask, which I sent you a picture about, but I want you to share with some of the people about your apprentice that you bring along. So you kept saying you're by yourself, but I'm pretty sure there's an extra plumbing solver beside you. So I put the picture up on the Twitch stream right now for people to see, which they'll see in a
Okay.
bit. So this picture I showed you, you have your dog and you have a sink right beside it.
Yeah.
What's your husky's name? Luna, right?
My husky's name is Luna. Yep, she's a 2.5-year-old Siberian Husky. I don't know if any of your viewers have ever had a husky or dealt with a husky before, but just picture like a child, but a child that needs to run around steady.
Constantly.
I give her 45-minute walk in the morning, 45-minute walk when I get home, 45-minute walk when after dinner. She's great. She's great. And that's her barking right now at some people in the front there. But she's great. She's very energetic, obviously. Luna. Yeah, we're not gonna get her to stop.
No.
Yeah. So she's great. She's energetic. She keeps me in shape. Like I could imagine if I didn't have her, I'd be well out of shape. But the picture you're seeing there is when she's looking back, looking kind of depressed. It's mostly because I wasn't giving her attention. That was funny enough. I was actually working at my house with that job, switching out a vanity, and again, like she was just hovering around me the whole time, coming to sniff, mostly getting in the way more than anything. But yeah, she's great. She's anytime I do a material run on a weekend where I'm not busy or anything like that, she's riding shotgun because she likes to drive around, stick her head out the window and stuff. But she's awesome.
How often do you bring her along to your job sites?
I'll only bring her if it's a rough in where I know there's not gonna be any other trades. Because again, she gets in my way enough. Like after a while, she'll
sit down.
She'll lay down. She'll go in a corner or something. But most of the time, if somebody else is there, she'll bother them, right? Because they're a new face and whatnot. So yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I imagine. Could you imagine? I brought my little dog to my job sites. Holy crap! He'd
little
be
knuckles
way too annoying.
I know the
yappy
Pomeranian
enough.
bark too.
Yeah, he's
I know
yappy
the Pomeranian
enough.
bark, man. Yeah, they bark for everything. Like a gust of wind will pass by, they'll start barking.
Anything he hears when we're going home, he just goes nuts, and then he'll just keep barking. But he's a lot better than the other ones. He doesn't yap at people. He just yaps at situations. Yeah. That's what I would say.
For sure. Yeah.
Anyway, those are all the questions I got for you today. I really appreciate you being on the show. You can stick around afterwards for sure, but we're just going to end the segment here. But before we end, I believe that there are a few things that you wanted to say, and you had a small giveaway for your new swag that you had.
Yeah, so I pretty much said everything I needed to say in the, more for the, the younger generation, the apprentices that are coming up in the trade. Like I said, get your stuff done. Get your paperwork done. Don't procrastinate. Take notes. Stay off the phone. That's another thing. Sometimes I'll get some high school kids that are like, oh, I'd like to, ride along with you and see what's going on and see how the plumbing aspect is. I'll take them and start getting to the job, start talking about stuff, and it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure. You're on your phone. You're not going to see anything. Take the notes. Pay attention. Just invest in yourself. That's the number one thing a lot of people say on Instagram, right? So that's that. And one thing I do want to say is any of your viewers that I didn't have a sticker with yet or a swap yet, I have lots of room on this board. Lots of room on it. So if you have a sticker, you want to swap, I got my stickers that most of the people have here. So that, and I do have a giveaway in honor of the Coffee with Impetus today. This is my brand new hat. I'm actually wearing one too. This hat is freshly done. The new design. It's the one that's the logo that's on my truck.
You gotta put it a bit higher.
And yeah, so
put it a bit higher.
Yep.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, perfect. So that's the one there. And yeah, so new hat. So the contest is now. I can't see the comments, but Terrence can see the comments. Number 1 to 100. If nobody gets it, the closest number to that number. And I will let Terrence know. I'm going to text message him the number. And I will give a clue. It has to do with my age. And that's all I'm going to say.
That is perfect. So if you've been listening so far, that is the only clue for you. If you want to guess a number, you can guess. There's not a lot of viewers here, but at the same time, when we do show that video, I'm sure people can get it together and post the numbers. The thing about Twitch so far is I've always been trying to move people over just because the overlay is a lot nicer. But sometimes viewers don't like to get across. But we'll get through. We'll get through to a lot of people. It's just in time. But really appreciate the giveaway there.
Yeah, no problem. Let's leave it open until somebody. You know what? Why don't we do this until somebody gets it? I'll send you the number until somebody gets it. Unless it gets like crazy where it's like whatever the case. But we'll do closest. Why don't we do the closest number? And then if we don't get it, we'll do it for another giveaway or something. Who knows?
Hey, definitely. We'll make use of anything like that. So I'm pretty sure people will be interested. So hey,
awesome.
thanks again for being on the show today. And if you guys keep guessing numbers, I think the cost is just guessing the heck out of it because
what's he saying? What's he saying there?
He's okay. So he started with a 69, a 91, a 29, a 34.
Hey, hold on. Is he the only one that guessed 91?
He guessed 91, but he guessed 69 first. But there you go. Rick was a bit slow on that one.
91. So I did have to do my age. That's the year I was born, and we did mention that right in the beginning of the show. So
The
Hey,
Gus
good
is
for
your
him
man.
for tagging along on that.
Hey, that's a good idea. Maybe we should do shows like that next time, and then
Hey,
have a special idea of what the giveaway is gonna be, and then when people watch the end of the show, then they get to guess.
okay, is what it is.
That's awesome. Hey, thanks again for
All
being
right,
on the show today. It was a great segment. I'm just gonna let it go for now, and if you guys don't know, follow Nick Galati on the Plumbing Solvers. He's a great guy, business guy. Anything you want to ask him, he'll always answer. And again, thanks for joining us for Coffee with Impetus today. If you want to know, we still got our swag going on, and I just did a new giveaway today for all black and gold. So if you're interested, go on that giveaway. If you give us a follow here, you're going to have extra entries as well. So we'll see you guys next time on the next episode. We have another special guest next week. And again, thank you, Nick, for being with us.
hey, thanks for having me. Anytime you need me, I'm ready to go.
Perfect. Thank you.